Well, I have prepared the painting I'm going to do. It's going to be a winter scene with a technique that I haven't seen anywhere else what I know about, if I haven't forgotten. I have used masking medium quite a lot for a lot of winter trees, and I am going to put some color here for the sky with the sunlight from here. Here's going to be white. So I'm going to start with the sky. I have prepared some lemon yellow and some permanent rose. I have tinted the permanent rose with a little bit of Paynes gray to make it a bit softer. So I'm first going to wet the paper. Take my graduate Dahler Rowney oval wash brush number 1. So I'm going to wet the sky first of all. I have tilted my paper. It's lying on a board, so it's tilted. I'm going to paint on wet paper when I'm painting the sky. Anyway, I'm just touching the paper with my soft brush, not hard at all. This is a little bit bigger paper than I have painted on the last videos. I have moved my camera holder a bit higher up so I can paint on bigger sheets of paper. When you wet the paper, we have a lot of masking fluid, masking medium on it. Look so you don't get a lot of puddles of water, or that it stays wet somewhere. Maybe the brush jumps over an area and it doesn't get any water on it, or you get a lot on the space. So then after you put the pigment, you have to watch so you don't have these beads of pigment and water flowing somewhere. Then you have to lift the pigment so you can get an even wash. Okay, I think that is okay. I have mixed a blue color. It's mostly cobalt blue, a little bit of ultramarine, and then I have tinted it with a little bit of Paynes gray. Okay. I am going to take the blue. I have checked the pigment, the mix on a piece of paper, so I know I get it right. It is going to be a lot lighter after it is dried, but then I can put another layer if I want. The paper dries first at the top because the water is running downwards. See here, you got a bead, you can just suck it up with a brush. And closing into the sun. Beads. I need to suck it up, otherwise it gets darker at those spots. See here. Watch it all the time, and here you see. As the paper is wet, the pigment is flowing downwards softly. Okay, I'm going in with the sunset colors. I have 2 jars of water, one that I clean the brush in and one that I can take clean water from. Okay, I take some of the permanent rose. It is tinted with a little bit of Paynes grey too. See, I mix it a little bit with the blue just to get a soft transition. I'm going to have it here also. If the paper is starting to dry, you can spray it a little bit. Okay, I'm going to take the lemon yellow. Also inside of the permanent rose some for transition. Nice transition. Now it gets a bit orange and some yellow. A little bit more of this lemon yellow. Quite a lot of pigment because the paper is wet, so that the pigment doesn't flow all over where it wants. I want to have some control of it. Look for any beads. Here is one bead. You have to lift it up so it won't get darker. So here you got a nice transition from red, pink to violet when you go out here in the blue. It is still wet here, so you can go up again and drag the pigment a bit so you get some lines. Here you got some beads, you gotta lift them up. Dry the brush so you don't get any background runs when touching the paper. Try to make it so the pigment doesn't get more vibrant on one side of a white line after I take off the masking fluid. It has to continue the same on the other side, the same amount of pigment. Take this off as much as I can. Okay. No beads anywhere, a little bit. I think I will take a little bit of permanent rose again. I have a little left. Just to make some lines. Remember, this is not anything that is exact. You do what you feel looks good, nice here, because you can't do exactly like me. That's impossible. The pigment runs. But I think it looks a bit softer when I do like this. Okay. Just drag it some. Okay, I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to dry it. Okay, now I'm going to wet this again. I use a very soft brush. I forgot to take off the lid. Use a very soft brush so that I don't lift the pigment from the paper. This is a synthetic brush, very, very soft. Haven't used it much because the handle, I lost the handle on it because I left it for too long in a jar with water. See, I'm taking up the beads. I wanted to go inside the paper. Lifting, brushing out the beads in the between the branches. Have you seen the beautiful pink color? Okay, I'm going to lift the dry stroke. When you lift the paper, you can see the shine, but you don't see when it's lying down, looking from the top. Yeah. Some of the darker colors, dark blues, are easy to lift, so you have to have a soft brush to wet the paper. Okay, I think I have it everywhere. Okay. I think I'm going to use this. I have mixed the same pigment again. Cobalt blue, a little bit of ultramarine, and Paynes gray. More Paynes gray this time. I have also checked. It's quite dark, isn't it? Okay. I'm going to have some more of it. Some ultramarine. And some Paynes gray to get the same. I want quite a lot Paynes gray because I want it darker. And the ultramarine I take because that is a bit warmer. A warmer kind of blue. Mm. Okay, now the water that I put on has gone inside the paper. I'm going to wet it once more. Get it more wet on top, on the surface. If you wet just once, it usually stays on, goes inside, and then it gets dry on top. You want to have it, you want it to stay wet a bit longer, so if you put on water twice or even 3 times, you get water inside the paper and it stays wet longer time. Got a dark splatter there. This is a soft brush, so it's quite easy to just pull it out, the pigment, if you get a splash somewhere. You see there. Always keep a piece of paper handy. Okay, I'm going to take a brush and paint these. I'm going to go on with a flat brush. I have to pull it down a bit because my board underneath is a little bit too small for this. Now you have to have quite a lot of pigment in this mix so that it doesn't start running on if you so you don't lose the control of the pigment. You can do this several times if you think that the painting is too light. You can work with it as long as it's wet. Remember that those beads that you don't want to be left. You have to lift them. Okay, I will take away this board. Pull some of the pigments on top of the pink. I'm going to show you why. It gets violet there. I can lift that afterwards. You can take some side here if you want. Okay. Lift where you get the bead. You have to lift just inside the bead with a blotted brush. Just lift it up. Take away some of these lines that I didn't like it. Get some here if you want. Okay. I laid this paper down the table now because I didn't want any more beads. As the water and pigment runs downwards, it collects beads here between the masking medium, because I have a lot of masking medium. I wanted that to stop, and as I could see that the pigments had run down evenly. So, okay, now to what I'm going to show you. I have some salt. So I put some salt here because I want to have some trees here behind. Put some more salt on some spots. Collect the salt as like a group of salt grains. You can put them evenly too if you want to. As I painted one more layer of the dark pigment, and I put the salt, and after it has dried I can brush off the salt, and we will see the pigment that was on the first wash. I think that would be great. You're starting to see it now. I think it's going to look lovely. These trees that I have masked, they are going to be white as a paper, but you can always put some paint in the white afterwards if you like. I used to think that it looks great with the white just for winter scenes, but if you think it looks too light, you can always put some pigment in. These are trees from further away. Those trees are standing behind this hill, so you see the top of the trees. This one too, the masked one, you can see from behind this hill. This has to dry before I can lift it. You can also put some pigment, some salt here as well. It will not show if the paint is not wet. If it's dry, it's you won't see it. So let's see. Let's see. When this dries, I'm going to take off the masking medium. Use another synthetic Dahler Rowney Sapphire number 10. Wet it and blot it. Then I just see if I can soften this just a little bit. I think I can do that. Just be careful so you don't lift too much of the underlaying paint. I want the pink to stay. See here, the salt. You can see it here too. You see the pink shows and the darker pigment shows in between. I'm gonna paint some blue here also, so it doesn't matter that much that there is a spot here, but I can take out a little bit anyway. Watercolor is transparent, so if you have too much, it shows through the pigment. Now we have to wait for this to dry. Sometimes it's fun to watch paint dry. It's good to stay and watch to see what happens with the painting. When you think it is enough, you just dry it with cool air, not hot air, because then you melt the masking medium inside the paper and it's going to be hard to pull off. Put some more of this. I don't know if it's going to work now. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe not. I think I will try this with cool air. Okay, this is dried. So we are going to take away the masking fluid, not everywhere. I have looked, here is the sun and a straight line from the sun back here is to this tree. So on the back here I will take off the masking fluid, and on top where I have put some paint. Okay, here and here the masking fluid will stay. Okay. It's very always exciting to take off the masking. Okay. Like this, I hold my hand here so it won't break. I haven't painted the snows yet. And of course you need to have washed your hands first so it's not fat on it. There's always grease on the skin, so I always, before doing this, I always wash my hands. Okay, and this. Take off from the sun as well. If you happen to take away the masking medium where it's not supposed to be taken off, you can always put some here and let it dry before you go on painting. Masking medium is not supposed to be on for too long, not for weeks. Days it's okay, and it depends on if the masking medium is fresh. This masking medium I just bought. Right. There I have to put some masking medium on again. That's okay. I love this effect. My children always say that I paint winter scenes the best. They like my winter scenes. My grown-up kids. My hardest critics. Okay, you can just feel there. You can do this with the rubber as well. When we paint the snow later, we are going to paint shadows behind those trees, and when we do that we always go a straight line from the sun down to what is giving the shadow, down to here. I can take this so you see. here, straight line from the sun till the bottom of the tree. Then the shadow will go this way. Next tree, it will go this way, and from that tree it will go this way, and so on. You always start from where the sun is, straight from the sun and to the bottom of the trees. So here, from the sun, straight line to this tree. The tree is going to be here. I want it white all the way from there, and it's continuing here. So from the sun, straight line till the bottom of the tree, the shadow is going to be here, and here shadow is going to be here. Okay. So you always have to plan properly before you make your shadows. I have done mistakes myself, even if I know this, because I am doing it in a hurry. I haven't thought about each step properly before you do it. Always think before you put the brush on and make the shadows. Now we are going to wet the paper. You could do this on dry paper as well, but I prefer wetting. I have put some more masking medium on the spots. I accidentally tore off the masking medium, and I have put this masking medium to lengthen this tree, so it starts growing from here instead. I want something more down here. Okay, I have a synthetic brush, a broad one, flat. Take some water all the way out over the white areas here. Cat here. Wet it carefully all the way out, so you don't miss any. Here is on the shadow side. The reason why I wet it is because I want it to stay soft, spread everywhere. I have mixed pigment, the same as in the sky, but very, very much water in it, a lot of water. I want it like tea, very thin, because I'm going to make shadows on this later on, and I want the shadows to be darker, of course. And the snow is not white. Snow has a lot of colors. And I want these masked areas to be seen. Those are going to be white, so I need pigment on the rest of the snow. Otherwise it's all going to look very flat. When you paint on wet paper or moist, you have to let it water sucking, then it is easiest to paint with pigment that is a bit thicker, but here is such a small area, and I have a big brush, so I'm going to put the pigment on fast, so I don't think I have any problems with it. But if you want to have small areas with the pigment on a wet surface, you have to have more pigment in, otherwise it floats all around and you don't have any control. Take the bead out here. Look from the side so you can see the shine on the paper. Some water. No puddles anywhere. I want it just to be moist. Okay, I have mixed the same pigments as in the sky, but very, very diluted. A lot of water in it. It was cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, and a lot of Paynes gray, because I don't want it to be a very sharp color. I want it to be soft. Okay, you see it's a lot of water in it. I'll just go over all the way. You can hardly see it, right? But if you want it to be darker, you just dry it and go over once more. You can always go over once more. When artists say it's mixed like tea, it's hardly any pigment in it. Okay, now I am going to mix some permanent rose, just to put in here some. I am going to use another brush. Permanent rose and a lot of water in this as well. I just put some here. Remember, it's going to dry a lot lighter. Okay. I'm going to put a little bit of the lemon yellow as well. Permanent rose and lemon yellow is the same pigment I used up here. The snow reflects the colors in the sky. Let's put some. While that pigment is drying a bit, I'm going to lift some of the pigment around the sun because I don't want this line to be so sharp. I use this kind of sponge. It breaks very easily. I have one small piece. I just dip it in water and I squeeze it so it doesn't get wet. It's just going to be moist. You have to do this on dry paper. So this is moist, only moist. So I just scrub a bit until I see the shape getting more soft here. This is the kind of sponge that you have in the household cleaning with. You just need to wet it and squeeze out the excess water, and then nothing in it, more than water, just water. Have a paper handy so that you can do like this. You see? I think that is enough. Let's see about the pigment. It is still very wet, so we have to let it dry some more. I have mixed some more pigment, Paynes gray and ultramarine, and I have tested it out here. It's going to be lighter when it dries. I think that is enough. When you paint the shadows, you can always go over again if you think it is too light, but be careful, you have to follow the exact lines, because it doesn't look good if you get a line in the middle of the shadow. Okay, I think I'm gonna use another brush, thinner one. Okay, I'll take my smaller synthetic. Here I have to lift some pigment because the tree is going down here. Okay. The same here. There starts the tree. Think about the line from the sun. Try not to get any lines in the shadows. Hard drying lines. And it doesn't have to be exact. Just about the same. No one notices if you have an extra shadow, if it is thin. Okay. Think about the line. Here you don't paint over the white lines here because this is the tree. So the tree is going to show through. But if you miss that, you can always take white gouache and paint over it. Here I just make a few lines. Okay. Here don't have to think anything about doing exact, because no one will notice. Just a few lines. I got company. Maja. Nej, nej. I don't look too much on this, at this. Just making some lines. Remember, when the sun is low, the shadows are longer. If the sun is at the middle of the sky, they are short. Remember the tree here? I need some more here. Go downwards. Here you don't paint any shadows from that yet, because there are going to be a shadow behind the small bump here. Okay. This tree is far away. Same with this. This is a little bit closer. but not close enough to give much shadow. Okay, think about the line from the sun. It's going a straight line, the shadow is going as a straight line from the sun. I don't do anything here because it's going to be darker on the whole spot here behind the. I can do that later if I think it looks wrong. This, remember the line. This. You have to think about every step here when you make your shadows, so you don't make them the wrong way. I have done mistakes when I have made shadows because I painted too fast, so I had to cut the paper to make a square painting. Maybe that is going to be a bit too dark. Okay, you can always lift some by pressing some paper on top. Okay. Take some more water in this mix. I'm going to make shadows behind here. Behind the hills. Now you can make these lines thinner, the white line thinner if you want. Now take some water underneath and just touching the blue, just touching, so it gets soft. If you want to touch it further up the shadow, you just blot the brush so that you don't move the pigment. Some more blue in this, trying to make it soft, very soft here. And all that depends on how the bump looks, how the bump you want the bump to look. It's no bump. Try to see if it looks natural. Painting is about seeing and noticing. Okay. I don't know if you have watched my videos, my tutorials for lifting pigment. When you do that, you wet the brush or wash the brush and blot it on paper. It's only going to be moist, very little water in it, and then you lift with the brush like this. You wash it out, the pigment. If you go in and have a lot of water in the brush and touch the paper, the pigment is going to go away. I think that looks okay. To the other spots, I want just a little here, I think. Just some, no hard big lines at the end. Let's see here. If you think it's difficult to do it fast enough, you can always wet the paper where you want the pigment first and then put the pigment. You see, now I'm lifting, working on the edge of the pigment, make it very soft. If it dries too fast on you, then you get the hard line here. And you can always wet the paper before doing it. Just to get it soft. You can always lift the pigment by using a very hard brush, like a hog's hair brush. Or a miracle sponge. Okay. Let's go in with some water down here, so it bleeds, the pigment bleeds out in the water, making it softer. Okay. I'll go on. I think I will make the shadow there as well. This is all about looking to see what looks natural. And that, when you practice painting, that will also improve the way you see things in nature. You will see the details better after practicing a lot painting. Okay. Sometimes I used to close one of my eyes to see it in another way. Try to don't let the pigment get thicker and thicker. You have to, if you paint slow, you need to mix some more water in now and then. Otherwise the shadow pigment gets darker and darker. Okay. Okay, I'm going to try to, I do, like I told you before, I wet before down here. I want it very thin with pigment, not much pigment. Okay, not the whole area, just down here. I take some pigment and Maybe this is easier for you. You see it starts to flow out, the pigment. You can just take the brush gently, not much water in the brush now. You see it gets soft on hard edges, and you can drop in some more pigment where it's wet if you want. Watch here so it doesn't bleed up. And you help with the brush, okay? That is what's difficult with watercolor. You have to watch it and be prepared to help the water flow. Because when you paint watercolor, you paint with water. Just a little bit pigment, but you paint with water, and the water reacts to what you do with the brush. Okay, I think I'm gonna need some more. You see, I put the pigment in and left a little bit between here, a light area, because the pigment is going to move. Now I can work with it. Just a little bit at a time. Here it's starting to get hard line, so I lift it, wet and blotted brush. Just a little bit. Take too much in, the pigment is starting to move around where you don't want it. Just small steps. Some water. Something you also can do is to make small valleys, or what you call it, in the snow. Just put on some shadow. If you put some more water in, you can make it a little bit more shallow. Here the sun doesn't reach. Okay. Maybe you want to lift some the edge. Just wet and blot on the paper. Just so it doesn't look so hard. If it's a hard edge, that means that the valley goes straight down. If you want the valley to be soft, you have to make soft edges. I don't know if you can call this a valley, because maybe valley is a big one. This is more of a hole in the snow. I think you know what I mean. English is not my first language. as you probably can hear. Soft edges. I have a little bump there too. I have a little yellow there, and let's see how it's doing. Let's make me a green color. I don't think so. Doesn't look that way. It's just a small bump. Small bump. Make that a bit softer at the end. I'm going to paint in some of this, but if I paint it in, remember that it is a bump, so you need to make the shadow from the tree curved. Okay, that curve shows also that it is a bump. I think I'm going to wet this. It's a bigger space. I want it to be soft. Soft. The pigment. Not too close here. Have to lift some. You see, it's a bit easier when you soft the area before, or if you make the area wet before, to soften it up a bit. And it gets soft from the start, the pigment. The wetness of the paper makes it soft. Okay, that is not such a high bump, it's lower. Let's see. I want a little bit there as well, because this is a bit pink here. I don't want it pink. I want it's better to put in some shadow. Soften the edge a little bit there. I want this tree to show a bit more, so I am going to put a bit shadow there. Right. Just here. Some water to soften. the way down to the tree shadow there, so you don't get several colors. And here as well, I want a white tree to show on the branches a bit. Edges, soften them. See, it shows more now, the tree. Soften the edges again. You see, it has to look soft. Get some dark areas from the back, from the higher trees, just a little bit in, because it is, those trees are far away, so it only gives some shadow from the top of the tree. Okay, here I want the shadow to be a little darker at some spot where the slope is a bit deeper in the middle. Right, soften those edges too. Just a little bit. Now I have to think and see where the shadows, more shadows are going to be. Okay, mix in some more. Now the pigments are separating, Paynes gray and the other blues. I have to mix it sometimes. Okay, these are branches. So I want, let's see if it's dry. Is it dry? Okay. Remember to put some on top of the white. It's the shadow. And okay. You see here? A bent shadow. from the tree. Some branch shadows. Those doesn't have to be exact. It goes over the white, you see. Might put some, have to put some more pigment there because it's white underneath. The shape of the shadow gives the shape of the bump. Always think where the sun is. Long shadows. Okay. Okay, now you look where you have the bigger trees, the broad tree trunk. There you have to make a little bit of shadow on the back side of the tree. Just in the middle, because you got the light from behind, so it's light at the edges. Okay. Do that where the tree trunk is big. You think about where you have the sun. Here the sun comes from here, so you get the shadow from on the right side of the tree trunk. The lightest area is on the left. So always think where you have the sun. You see, this does a lot. Tree looks more round. Okay, and the same here. I'm going to take some on this side. Now you see you have some shadow here at the ground on the snow, so you have to make the shadow on the tree darker so you can see the tree trunk. If it's too much behind the hill, you make the shadow on the whole tree, on the whole tree trunk. When you get up, further up, you can keep the light on the right side of the tree trunk. Same here. Darker than the shadow behind. Sometimes it melts inside the background shadow, so you don't see that much. But it's not that dark here. Okay, dark enough to see it. I can see it later on when it's dried if I need another layer of pigment on. These are the details. I love to work with the details. A little bit more shadow here, a little bit darker. You see here I have painted a small hole in the snow, because where the tree is growing from, when the wind is blowing, the snow is lying down differently where the tree is growing from. So sometimes there is a little hole there where the tree is standing. And just go on till you think it looks enough dark. You stop sometimes when you're painting to have a look. This doesn't have to be an even area of pigment, because the tree trunk is not smooth. It's got small holes on one side. Some here too, just in the middle. Oops. Remember which side the sun is on. Where you need the shine on the trees, on the tree trunk. You don't need to do this on the branches, just the tree trunk, that is bigger. Remember to stop and watch. Look how it looks. See how it looks. This is what I like the most, painting, doing the details. Because you do it slow. Remember to do some darker shadows in some places. Comes more to life. You see after a while when it has dried if you need to paint anything more. You move around in the painting so it has time to dry. And then you go back when it has dried some and paint some more if you need to. I got a spot that is a bit too light. Put some shadow pigment on so it doesn't show that much. You can just break up the lines a little bit from the branches just to put some shadow pigment on a few spots so that the lines, the branches doesn't get too hard, looks too hard. And that is mostly on the darker areas, the branches show more. So you can break them up with some shadow area if you want. Or you keep them white if you want to have them sharp lines. You see, I just put it on a few spots so you get some structure on the trees, tree trunks. You see how I work from right to left and go back, so it has time to dry the pigment in between. And you see where you have to put on some more pigment. I think I will stop there. You go on as long as you need. Don't think now that you have to do exactly the bumps exactly on the right, same spot as I do. You do your own painting and think about this as technique tips, how you can do. You shape your own painting. Okay. I will look a bit more in a couple of days on this. You do the same, you put it away in a drawer, take it after a couple of days or a week and look at it again. You can see where you have to do something more. Maybe you don't have to. Okay, this is one kind of winter scene I do. I like these masked light branches.